Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this chat, I'd like to talk about some of the slogans of globalization. Now, I think in the West, everyone's aware now that globalization is being forced upon us. We're not being asked to vote on it or to agree to it. They're not even trying to sell it to us as being a worthwhile exercise, and that's because it's unsaleable. Globalization means lower standards of living for Western citizens, and therefore they can't sell it to us, and therefore they have to take away a seat at the table through the reducing or eliminating or neutralising the power of the vote. And to do that, they have to neutralise white people as a group, which they're certainly going about with great gusto at the moment. And our white politicians are just waving it all through, helping them do it. Talk about abetting the enemy, but goodness sakes. But one of the big talking points that's being put out by, say, the very influential World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab is one of the big players there, is that Western institutions are no longer fit for purpose. They were supporting yesterday's society, yesterday's economy, and this bright, glittering new future. How they can sort of put it forward as bright and wonderful is quite beyond me, given it involves a huge reduction in standard of living for Western citizens. But nonetheless, that's the talking point, that the institutions are simply no good, and we have to have new institutions, or that the existing institutions have to be reworked from within to be suitable for and to aid and abet the globalisation project. Now, there's no evidence that I've seen anywhere that says that, or proves, or even reasonably explains how the institutions are bad or are no longer supporting are no longer useful and no longer fit for purpose. I don't understand that, and nor have I seen any document or heard any speech or seen any writing that's able to illustrate this in anything resembling a clear. There's a lot of slogan talk and feel-good talk, that sort of thing, but nothing. We need to change our institutions to make the world a more equitable place. So, okay, I guess no one's really against equity, but what does that mean? Does it mean you're going to steal what I have to give to someone else without my consent, and if I don't like it, you'll crush me? Is that what it is? Because if that's it, then I don't agree. If it's somehow by magic and wave a magic wand and turn every subsistence rural farmer peasant in the world into an industrial magnate, well, fine, wave your magic wand. I don't care. But assuming magic wands don't exist, then where is the wealth going to come from to make these people better off? You've either got to create a huge amount of new wealth to achieve that, which takes a long time, or you're going to have to steal from me to do it. So I need that explained. But there are no explanations. So the world is going to be more equitable. We want a more just world. Well, again, fantastic, just world. Who could be against that? What does justice mean, or what does being just mean in a globalist context? Well, they don't really explain it. But we can assume, based on what they're saying, that just means taking what white people have and giving it to someone who's not white. Well, that's just, and again, that isn't just. If you've got to steal from me at gunpoint to give to someone else, then I fail to see the justice in that. Then there's talk about, well, it's redressing justice, or justice that redresses past grievances or wrongs. So slavery existed 200 something years ago. So in order to redress that, what we have to do is steal from white people and give to black people, and that fixes everything. Does it? But again, if you're looking at just or even redressing, why would one evil, illegal act be fixing up another evil act from hundreds of years ago? And why is it only white people that seem to be saddled with this slavery guilt? Why not the Arabs who are at it for much, much longer and were indulging in it in a vast scale? Why is it that the black plantation owners that had black slaves in the United States, why isn't that being talked about, and so on? So we're looking at very, very selective, cherry-picked type issues here and slogans that have nothing to do with changing institutions. It's simply removing the obstacles to globalisation. Now, globalisation is let's call it what it is. We're a very small elite. Will have a monopoly or oligopolies or cartel pricing power of all the essentials of life. So if you want water, if you want power, if you want accommodation, if you want heating, transport, that sort of thing, it will all be owned by this very small group of people, whether it be big financial institutions or people like, I don't know, Jeff Bezos or something, but it's going to be owned by a very small number of people who will effectively own and control all governments. Voting won't exist. The people will have no actual power to decide anything. There'll be orchestrated social media outrage campaigns, and politicians will pretend to respond to those. But the reality is the people will have no power. They'll be arbitrarily arrested, arbitrarily denied services, and the rule of law and due legal process will be arbitrarily applied or allowed to exist purely for public theatrical effect. The media won't exist. There'll just be the mass propaganda campaign. That's what globalization is. Now, the Western institutions that were to do with liberty, rule of law, due legal process, all these sorts of things, the individual rights, merit, all that sort of stuff, then they're the institutions that the globalists are saying are no longer suitable for the future. And in fact, they're not. I mean, if you're going to have a world where there's no democracy, no rule of law, no due legal process, where contract law will only be enforceable if it's in the interests of the big cartels and the oligopolies and so on, then any institution that was built up to share power and to have rules, clearly codified rules and regulation, they're all going to get in the way of globalization, every one of them. So they've all got to be got rid of. Now they'll be done with the fancy slogans of, well, we're only doing this to help children. Are you against helping children? Is that what you're saying? It'll only be to help oppressed peoples, for example. So you're against helping oppressed peoples, are you? Damn Hitler, you! It'll be that sort of thing, and people. There'll be a whole machine to shame and grind people down and to crush them if they get in the way. So that's the dystopia, the horrible dystopia we're heading towards. People will exist as the serfs did. You'll have your UBI. You rent the property that you rent, because there'll be very little property ownership. The property you rent will be at the whim of the big financial institutions and the cartels. And if you piss them off, maybe you get a little note saying, "Hey, buddy, if you post anything like that again on social media, or if you talk to that person, or if you do such and such, or if we catch you, growing vegetables in your backyard again, that's it, buddy. You're out on the street." And it'll be those dystopian movies where there's a city, and then those people that exist outside of the city is almost animals sort of surviving as best they can. I think we'll head to something along those lines, and the people who are outside the city, they're all Nazis, you see, that they don't have any rights, and we shouldn't feel bad about them. How do we know they're Nazis? Because we tell you they are. They're damn fucking fascist Nazis, and that's why they're there, and so they deserve everything they get. What about rule of law? Hey, buddy, you talk like that, and you'll be out there as well. Okay. That's where we're going. If we're halfway there already, and the success that they've had in taking over our institutions, taking over our bodies politic, taking over the party political machines, it's absolutely stunning. Our fellow citizens have sold us out just so they'll have a little crumb at the table at the other end, and the rest of us will just be the great unwashed and the hoi polloi, to be herded around like tax and consumption cattle. That's my view, but I'd like to see your views sort of down in the comments, and let me know what you think. You've been with Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.